This version adds an OpenAI GPT shortcode. This shortcode is used to generate texts by using OpenAI API. To be able to use this shortcode, we first need to define a secret key. This key is defined in the General Settings page under the APIs tab. Let's go to OpenAI's website to retrieve the secret key. Click your avatar from the top and then click View API Keys. In this page, click Create New Secret Key to create a new secret key. Copy the displayed secret key, enter it to the Secret Key option, and then save the general settings. To create an OpenAI GPT shortcode, we click this button. This dialog has three sections. On the left side, there is a shortcode options section that contains the options used to customize the shortcode. On the right side, there is a shortcode section. This section is used to copy the created shortcode. Finally, there is a test section, which is used to test the created shortcode. You can use the copy button to copy the shortcode. There are four modes as chat, complete, insert, and edit. Let's take a look at them one by one. You have to select an AI model that will carry out your task. Each mode has different models. The capabilities and pricing of the models differ. You can learn more about them by visiting OpenAI's website. Let's select the first one here. The shortcodes that can be used in the messages or prompts are displayed as buttons here. You can simply click them to copy the shortcodes. Then you can paste them into the messages or prompts to use them. In the chat mode, a conversation must be defined. Each message in the conversation must have a role. The system role is used to adjust the behavior of the AI model. Let's define the purpose of the model here. Let's enter the first message of the conversation. Finally, let's test to see the response. The model mocked with our question as expected. Now let's copy the shortcode and close the dialog by clicking outside. We can paste the shortcode into the template to use it. We will do this later. Let's continue looking at the available options. Let's reset the options and start over. This time we will create a shortcode that generates an SEO-friendly text by using the title of the post. When we use a shortcode, an input is added for that shortcode into the test section so that we can provide its value. Let's enter a value here. We can see that the model did what we asked. Great. Now let's see what this stop sequences option does. Basically, the model stops generating more text when it sees one of the stop sequences in the generated text. Let's enter a dot character here. The model should stop generating the text if it comes across a dot character. Let's test. We cannot see a dot character as expected. Because the model cannot generate more text if it sees a dot character, it stopped early. Note that the dot character is not included in the response. The stop sequences are not included in the response. The temperature option is used to control the randomness of the generated text. As the value approaches to 0, the model becomes less random or more deterministic. Let's set it to the maximum value to see what it does. We can say that it went crazy. We cannot even understand what it says. Let's make the temperature 0 to make the model as deterministic as possible. Yes. This is more like it. The maximum length option is used to limit how many tokens can be used in total. One token is about 4 characters in English. 1500 English words is about 2048 tokens. Each model has a context length, which is the maximum token count that can be handled by the model. The token count is calculated by using both the input text and generated text. So if the context length of a model is 4000 tokens and your input is 4000 tokens, the model will not be able to generate a response. By using the maximum length option, you can reduce the context length of the model, meaning that you can prevent the model from generating too much text. If you leave this option empty, the maximum token length is automatically calculated by considering your input texts in a way that it will not exceed the context length of the model. You can learn more about the tokens from OpenAI's website. Let's enter 64 and see what it does. When we enter 64, OpenAI first calculates the token count of the two messages we entered. Then, that count is subtracted from 64. For example, if the token count of the inputs is 20, the model can now generate at most 44 tokens. This is basically how you should think when defining a maximum length value. Let's move on to the complete mode. Again, this mode has different models. Select a model that best suits your needs, or you can simply use the first model in the list. In this mode, we need to enter a prompt. The prompt basically tells the AI model what to do. Let's try to do the same thing that we did in the chat mode. Let me try to get rid of the numbers in the generated text. It worked. Let's see the insert mode. In this mode, the model tries to replace insert placeholder with a suitable text. We have to include insert in our prompt. Then the model will generate a text that is logically suitable to be in place of the insert placeholder. Let's say that we crawl recipes from a recipe site and we want to make OpenAI generate a recipe for us. Let's assume that the title of the post is the name of the recipe. Let me come up with a prompt for this. Let's see if this works. Well, this was not what I wanted to do, but you get the idea. Finally, let's take a look at the edit mode. This mode is used to edit the given text. The text is entered into the input option. Then you define how the text should be edited by entering the instructions. Let me try to make the first characters of each word uppercase. Great, that's what I expected. The shortcode section can be used to import a previously created shortcode. Let's copy our shortcode and reset the options. Let's say we wanted to change a previously created shortcode. Click the Import Mode button to enable the import mode. Paste the shortcode and click the Import button. The options are automatically filled. Now you can change the options, copy the new shortcode and replace the previous one with the new one. The OpenAI GPT shortcode is available in many places. It is available in the Template settings under the Templates tab. It is available in the Options box templates. It is available in the Template and Create commands of the filters. Now let's see a real-world use case. I want to add a too long didn't read summary to the top of the post content. OpenAI's website has many prompt examples. Let's go to the website and find the too long didn't read example. It looks like when we add TLDR at the end of the prompt, the model generates a summary. Let's create a shortcode that does this. First of all, I want to create a shortcode that contains only the text of the target post's content to get rid of the HTML tags. By this way, we will also use fewer tokens, which makes the summary generation operation cheaper. Let me create this custom shortcode. Now we can use this shortcode in our prompt. Let's select the complete mode and configure the prompt as shown in the example we found on OpenAI's website. Let me copy the shortcode and include it at the top of the post content template. Let's test the settings before saving the changes. This is how the post content looks. Now let's save the settings and test again. We can see the summary at the top. Great. Now let me show you something else. We can use only the first few paragraphs of the post to generate a summary as well. To do this, we need to change the CSS selector of our shortcode to retrieve only the first 3 paragraphs. Let's save the settings and test again. Nice. You can maybe take the first and last 2 paragraphs to generate a more meaningful summary. This way uses fewer tokens, which makes the operation cheaper. Also, this avoids the risk of exceeding the context length of the AI model. If you send the entire content of the post and its token count exceeds the context length of the AI model, the model cannot generate a summary. Of course, it is your decision. You might not need this. I just wanted you to know this way. Let's see another example. In this example, we will insert a generated text into the middle of the post content. Let's go to the post page filters setting and add a new action command. Select the subject as element and command as create. This command is used to create HTML elements relative to other elements existing in the page. Let's select the third paragraph to insert the text after the third paragraph. Now let's define the HTML code. I want to add a few interesting facts about the article by using the title of the post. Alright, now let's use the OpenAI GPT shortcode to generate a few interesting facts. Let's use the chat mode. First, tell the model what its purpose is by using the system role. I want the model to output an HTML list. Define a user message that gives the model the headline, in other words, the title of the post. Let's see if it works. Amazing. Let's copy the shortcode and complete our HTML code. When we use the visual inspector, the filters defined in the post page filters setting are applied. We can use this to see if our HTML code is inserted in the correct place. Nice, the HTML code is placed correctly. Let's save the settings and test them via the tester page. We can see the generated facts. Cool. The OpenAI GPT shortcode can be used to completely rewrite the title and content of the crawled post. We can use the original title and content of the post to generate a new post. Let's see how we can do this. I use the previously defined custom shortcode that contains only the text of the target post. As you can see, I defined 2 OpenAI GPT shortcodes, one for the post title and one for the post content. There is nothing else in the title and content templates. Let's see the options of the shortcode used for the title. As you can see, I basically told ChatGPT to rewrite the title of the post. Let's test it. It paraphrased the title as expected. Nice. Now let's look at the options of the shortcode used for the post content. Here is my prompt to configure the behavior of ChatGPT. You can pause the video to read it. Then I send the text of the post content to ChatGPT as a message. Let's test it. I expected 2 paragraphs, but it is okay for this example. You can come up with a prompt better than mine. Let's save the settings and test it via the tester page. The title and content have been generated. Nice. Let's save a post via the Tools page to make sure a post can be created. The post has been created. Let's compare our post with the original post from the target site. Before completing the example, let me show you something else. We can use the OpenAI GPT shortcode in the options box. When we define multiple templates in the options box, one of the defined templates will be used randomly. For example, we can define 3 templates, each of which has an OpenAI GPT shortcode configured differently. By this way, you can alternate the generated post content.